Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk. I'm your host, Denise Rollard Barnes, publisher of the Washington Informer, and today we have an amazing lineup of guests and topics. We have a jam-packed show featuring some incredible sponsors and some fantastic guests. First up, we're going to be talking with Craig Rice, Vice President of Community Engagement at Ronald McDonald House Charities of Greater Washington. He's the sponsor of this segment, and we will discuss the amazing work they do serving families of sick children in the DMV. And then the DC JazzFest is back with an exciting star-studded lineup and celebrating its 20th anniversary. Sunny Sumter, President and CEO of DC Jazz Festival, will be giving us the inside scoop on the upcoming DC JazzFest and is the sponsor of the segment that will be hosted by our very own Brenda Seiler. And we're also excited to have author and columnist Rodney A. Brooks joining us to talk about his latest book, The Rise and Fall of Freedman Savings Bank and its lasting socio-economic impact on Black America. If this isn't a story that you've heard, you've got to stay tuned, because this is one that we all need to know about. And it's a story that's rooted right here in the nation's capital. And last but certainly not least, in what I know will be our extended segment, I will be chatting with Wanda Lockridge, chairperson and CEO of the William O. Lockridge Foundation, who escorted 4 DC students to an exciting excursion or trip to Madagascar. She will be joined by our tour guides, Ada Anago Brown of Roots to Glory, a tour company that takes individuals to various countries on the continent of Africa. And so she'll be with us along with Vanessa Wilmot, a native Malagasy, along with the 4 student ambassadors who will share their amazing experiences. So we've got a great show lined up, you all. Hey, I'm glad you're joining us, but make sure you stay tuned. So before we jump to our first segment, again sponsored by Ronald McDonald House Charities of Greater Washington, I want to make sure that you picked up a copy of the most recent issue of the Washington Informer. Y'all know I love to show the print edition because we believe in print. We want to make sure that you can get this copy on your newsstands and read through it. It's a great issue this week, chock full of information, so you definitely want to pick it up. As I said, we're in about 400 newsstands across the Washington metropolitan area, so there are many places you can go and get the copy. And inside this week is our back to school special issue. And so, hey, you know that in a couple of weeks, DC and Prince George's County Public Schools will be opening. That's on August the 26th. So this issue includes a lot of information for parents and students. So you definitely want to pick up a copy of the Washington Informer. This is on the inside of the paper, so you don't have to worry about getting 2 different publications. It's on the inside, so you want to make sure you check it out. But you can also access the Washington Informer by becoming a subscriber. Can I say that one more time? You can access the Washington Informer by becoming a subscriber. All you have to do is go to our website, washingtoninformer.com. Little box will pop up and we'll just ask you simply for your email address. And it's free. You will receive news updates in your mailbox daily. And we are constantly loading new information, local, national, international, community, down the street news that you can use there at washingtoninformer.com. We want you to also take a moment to share this broadcast on your social media platforms and follow us on Facebook, IG, X, TikTok, Threads, Nextdoor, LinkedIn, and YouTube. You name it, we're there. If you're there, follow us. What do we want you to do? Become a friend, all those things on all those channels. We want you to be a part of our family. We welcome you. So be sure also to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Washington Informer TV. No spaces, straight Washington Informer TV, where you will find conversations you may have missed, including this one. So if you really enjoy this program and you want to share it, all you have to do is go to YouTube, go to Washington Informer TV, and you'll find this broadcast right after we're done. So before we begin our first segment, sponsored again by the Ronald McDonald House Charities of Greater Washington, let's watch our weekly news broadcast by Curtis Knowles.
This is Win TV News, bringing you the news that matters. Governor Westmore announced $7.3 million in workforce grants to upskill Maryland's workforce and make Maryland more competitive in emerging healthcare, information technology, and hospitality industries through the Employment Advancement Right Now or EARN Maryland program. The grants administered by the Maryland Department of Labor strengthen the homegrown talent pipeline for Maryland businesses to meet increasing demand for their products and services. Grantees will deploy creative strategies that will make Maryland more competitive by connecting residents to jobs while investing in the growth of registered apprenticeships and developing a highly skilled workforce to meet priorities around infrastructure, clean energy, and healthcare. Governor Moore commented saying, quote, "We are proud to announce the largest investment in the Earned Workforce Grant Program, an effort that will help over 500 businesses throughout the state." The DC Attorney General's office has reached a settlement with IHG Management resolving compensation claims at the former Moon Rabbit restaurant at the Intercontinental Hotel at the Wharf. It will result in $126,000 going to 42 former restaurant workers and $60,000 in penalties to be paid to the district. In announcing the settlement with IHG, DC Attorney General Brian Schwalb said it resolves allegations that it failed to provide accurate, honest, timely, and transparent compensation policies to workers, including tip-sharing policies. Schwab commented saying, quote, "Workers are legally entitled to know how much they are going to be paid and when, full stop." Kids will be able to get the health care they need thanks to Monumental Sports and Entertainment's $1 million donation to help operate MedStar's Georgetown's Kids Mobile Medical Clinic. Monumental's refurbishment of MedStar's clinic will allow it to continue its decades-long work of rotating the mobile clinics between neighborhoods in the district. Doctors and nurses perform routine wellness checks, physical exams, labs, vaccinations, and sick visits while aboard the mobile clinics. Dr. Janine Rethy, a division chief of community pediatrics with MedStar Health, also said they fulfill other needs, saying, quote, "We screen for things that you wouldn't typically think would occur in a child checkup, which includes screening for social detriments of health that include things like food insecurity, housing insecurity, and unmet educational needs."
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Thank you so very much, Curtis. It's always great to get that brief newscast in. And I am excited now to introduce Craig Rice, who is the Vice President of Community Engagement at Ronald McDonald House Charities of Greater Washington. What I would call is a wonderful jewel in DC for families who need it. Thank you for sponsoring this segment, Craig, and welcome to Let's Talk.
Well, thank you very much for having me, Denise. It's an absolute pleasure, and I really want to thank the Washington Informer for their continued support of the great organization and the mission that we're trying to accomplish here at Ronald McDonald House Charities.
So speaking of mission, tell us a little bit about Ronald McDonald House. I mean, people, may not really know who you are and how you serve the community. So give us a little bit of detail there.
Sure. So Ronald McDonald House Charities for over 40 years, our mission has been to provide the essential services that remove barriers, strengthen families, and promote healing when children need health care. The unfortunate part about it is we know all too well that so many families experience a serious illness with their child. They also may experience a critical injury. And when those children are hospitalized, families want to stay close to those children. And we serve those families who need to travel from home, seeking the best pediatric medical care for their ill or injured child. So many people know the Roundup that's in McDonald's, but really don't know the fact that we provide these home away from homes for families free of charge, 24/7, 365 days a year. And on average, our families are staying with us for about 26 nights. So you can imagine being away from your home, being away from everything you know for 30 nights. And then on top of that, having the expenses of a hotel or food. But we take that burden away. And so it's a tremendous resource.
No, it sounds like a tremendous resource. I mean, none of us who are parents or may become parents can really understand the strain and stress when a child is sick and what that means, but also, trying to make sure that self-care part happens as well. And then, if you're traveling places, where are you going to stay? That expense also is an addition that, one needs to take in consideration. Where is Ronald McDonald House located, or how do you house people? How does that work?
So we actually have two houses. One is on our Fairfax Inova campus in Fairfax, Virginia, and the other is located right next to Children's National Medical Center in Washington, D.C. Our Ronald McDonald House of Washington, D.C. was realized through the efforts of dedicated parents of critically ill children back in 1980. And so that was the nation's 16th Ronald McDonald House. And then in 1998, we were actually able, through the outpouring of love and support from the community, build a second Ronald McDonald House on the campus of Inova Fairfax. At our DC house, we can house up to 32 families. Keep in mind that family size could be anywhere from 3. We actually have a family that we're housing now that has 8. And so we really try and make sure that we have that flexibility afforded to families that we serve. And then at our Fairfax Inova house, we actually originally opened that house with 8 rooms and then did a multi-year expansion to grow that to 24. And so it's been an amazing journey in terms of continuing to answer the call for support for families in our community. But unfortunately, we see our occupancy numbers continue to rise, and in some cases, we're actually turning families away. It talks about the great need that is there still in our community.
Yeah, so I mean, one, how do families access the Ronald McDonald House? If they, I mean, now we'll talk about, how the community can support, creating more opportunities. But for now, how does a family access the services?
So typically through their social worker or through one of the case managers at hospitals, they do referrals and refer patients to the Ronald McDonald House. But you can also self-refer on our website. So the www.rmhcdc.org, there's actually a place there where it says if you're inquiring about staying with us, and you can stay with us absolutely free of charge. There is a small background check just to make sure. But outside of that, families are staying with us and can self-refer or be referred by hospitals or doctors.
Okay, and is there a a time limit on how long families can stay with you?
That's the very interesting thing is that while we have an average length of stay of 26 nights, we have a family that's been with us for almost 500 nights now. So there is no limit. It's as long as that child is going through care and the families need support, we will be there for those families.
And when those families are there, because now you have, and you're saying families, it's just not mom or mom and dad, there are other
It's the
siblings.
siblings. That's
Yeah.
exactly right. And some of our folks, we understand that some of them unfortunately are single moms, single dads, and have a family support structure that needs to be there. And so we're making sure that them as well as their siblings are all taken care of.
Wow. And so how is Ronald McDonald House funded? I do want to know why Ronald McDonald House. I want to understand, the connection between that and whatever. I mean, if you could explain that.
Yeah, it's so interesting. So McDonald's is our founding and forever partner because it was a McDonald's owner operator in Philadelphia who actually founded the first Ronald McDonald House. So it came out of corporate philanthropy from an individual. Ever since then, McDonald's Corporation, through its Roundup program, so when you go and purchase a Happy Meal or anything like that, those Roundup dollars that folks contribute go to us as an organization. But I will tell you that a lot of people think that the majority of funding comes from our founding and forever partner, and that's actually not the case. Each of us, as Ronald McDonald House Charities all throughout the world, are independent 501c3s. And so we have to raise funds ourselves, working with the community and working with owner operators of McDonald's and asking them for their philanthropic support as well. So it really is a kind of combination of corporate philanthropy. We have a lot of community support, individual donors who contribute. And then we do have a couple fundraisers, including our upcoming Red Shoe 5K that's at National Harbor on October 6th. So that'll be a great opportunity for us to raise our feet, to raise hope and awareness and support for families as well.
So I want folks who are listening, because I think this is what I've seen. If you happen to go to McDonald's, and McDonald's, they're talking about now with the prices going down. McDonald's is one of those that's offering these really great meals right now, affordable meals. but there's a little box right underneath where you pay,
You've got it.
and
That's
that's
right.
where you can put that, instead of them giving all that change to you in your hand or those dollar bills, you can drop it right in there, correct?
You've got
And
it.
that
And
goes,
that's our
okay,
roundup. Yep.
yeah,
But you can also do it now on the app. And so that's an
okay.
exciting thing as well. So I encourage folks, for those who are using the mobile app, to be able to order their McDonald's food as well. Another great way to help support the organization is to round up through the app as well. You'll see a pick list for you to be able to pick how you want to round up to help Ronald McDonald House Charities. So either way, whether you're in person and you're putting those coins or dollars in that box, or whether you're doing it through the mobile app, it all makes a tremendous difference in terms of having a significant impact in us, affording us the ability to help more families.
So tell us about the run that's going to take place in October.
So we're really excited about the Red Shoe 5K. It is a great opportunity. It's a beautiful run around National Harbor. Part of it's on the waterfront itself. Doug Kammerer from NBC4, the nation's meteorologist. The meteorologist will be our MC and host. We have the DC Police Foundation coming out with a whole bunch of Marvel superheroes. We have a whole bunch of mascots from different teams that'll be there. We have a kids fun run that's a part of this as well. And some tremendous sponsors, including great folks like United Healthcare, McDonald's Corporation itself, and so many others who have really stepped up to make sure that we're doing all we can to help support our families. But I will just say that Doug Kammerer, meteorologist, has guaranteed it's going to be a beautiful day. And so because of that, I'm encouraging folks to come out, run, walk, whatever the case may be. There are also volunteer opportunities for folks as well, and sponsorship opportunities for you if you're a company and you want to spread the word about your company and support a good cause.
And you said the Red Shoe run, right? Because of course Ronald McDonald has those big red shoes.
That's
So
exactly right. So it's
yeah,
the Red Shoe 5K, but you can find all of that information by going to our website, rmhcdc.org, or you can also go www.redshoe5k.org as well. Either way, it'll
Greg,
take you right to our site.
before we go though, you said something that really touched me. You said that the numbers of families are growing. And it is of concern. That means that more of our children are being faced with really critical health issues. And I know you don't know why, because that's not part of what you do. But tell me how great the need is right now.
Yeah, well, actually, we've actually done some studies. We work with some groups who've actually analyzed, and when we do the intake process, we ask our families a lot of questions about their backgrounds and why they would need us. I can tell you right now that it's significant food insecurity, significant housing insecurity, significant medical insurance insecurity, and so because of that. Because we see the rising cost of healthcare, because we see the rising cost of housing, because we see the rising cost of food, it is impacting so many more of our families, and so many more people are in need. Plus, we're actually starting to identify, after COVID, post-COVID, we had more people who are more in tune with saying something isn't right. We have more of our community who is actually taking their children to the doctor, to the hospitals, identifying, saying something just doesn't seem right. And it's unfortunate, but then we see in those cases anecdotally to where some doctors are saying, I need you to immediately go to Children's right away because there is something significantly wrong and we need to treat your child right away. It's a good thing, being that we're starting to see more of our families more in tune with their health. But it is something that concerns me about how many more people, especially in our communities of color and those that are socioeconomically impacted, who are still not getting the treatment that they need and that they deserve.
Right, right. Until it's at a critical point where a child now has an extended stay in a hospital and a family needs a place to stay in order to be close. So that's one reason why, I'm glad you're here to talk to us about Ronald McDonald House. I hope that our viewers will do their part in supporting what the need is, and to come on out there on October 6th.
There it is. And I can't thank you enough, Denise, for continuing to raise the awareness. I mean, look, whether you're volunteering at our house, and there are great opportunities to do that. I always say it's time, talent, treasure. So it's time, if you can volunteer at our house, please do that. You can also do that through the website. It talks about volunteer opportunities. Of course, with talent, we have all different kinds of things, from landscaping projects to all kinds of things that help to allay our costs so that we can put more money directly to our families. And of course, treasure. If you can donate, please, by all means, whatever it is, every dollar matters and helps, and make sure you round up whenever you go to McDonald's.
All right. Sounds good, Craig. Thank you so very much for being with us. Thanks for sponsoring the segment. And we certainly do wish you the best. And feel free to come back anytime. All right. Take care. Thank you. So, Ronald McDonald House, you've heard about it, but now you know more about it, and you can see the critical need that exists, and hopefully that's something that you will consider as you go get those Happy Meals. Now it's my pleasure to bring on Sunny Sumter, who is the president and CEO of DC JazzFest. I'm going to give you a shout out, Sunny, before I bring on Brenda Seiler, but how you doing?
I am wonderful, Denise. It's always so good to see you. And I just have to applaud you for the great work that you're doing in the community. The Washington Informer, it's been around since I was a kid.
And we will be 60 years old, Sunny, in October.
I know, but it's so great to see under your leadership who you've really become a community force.
Thank you.
Platform for information. So thank you. Thank you for all you do.
Well, thank you for that accolade. I couldn't have paid for a better commercial, so I appreciate it. And I am so looking forward to the 20th anniversary of DC JazzFest. I want to bring Brenda on if she's here so that we can start this conversation. I'm going to check out, but I am looking forward to hearing what's coming to the DC area.
Hello, everybody. I'm Brenda Seiler, lifestyle writer for the Washington Informer. We are entering my favorite time of the year, and that is because DC JazzFest is coming up. The action starts on August the 28th, goes until September 1st. Welcome, Sunny Sumter, President and CEO of the DC Jazz Festival. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, Brenda, and thank you. You are so articulate in how you describe this great music in our city. You are such a force in really making sure that people understand the art form and all that it brings and all the variations. So thank you.
Well, we thank you for making Jazz Fest a year-round event, but coming up on the 20th anniversary, what an accomplishment. And let's talk about how things are going to pop off that period at the end of this month going into September 1st.
It is absolutely going to pop off. Don't we know it? Jazz Fest started off on a paper napkin with Charlie Fishman and his wonderful wife, Stephanie Peters, at Ashton's and Adams Morgan, 2004. Here we are 20 years later. They started with 12 concerts. Now we have over 100 over 5 days, starting Wednesday, kicking off at Franklin Park with the Jogo Project, Jazz Meets Go-Go, gotta have it, to the Jazz DC Orchestra directed by Alan Johnson with special guests Christy DeShield and Antonio Hart at Hamilton Live. That has been a great partner of ours for years. And then the opening night at the Embassy of Australia. Our embassies have been such great partners. Why? Because jazz is a global brand. So that's just day one. And then we go, there's so much to talk about in this conversation. I don't want to give it all away because I'm sure you've got some questions that you want to ask me. But yes, we are going to be all things jazz across the city for 5 days.
And our listeners, our viewers need to go to DC JazzFest online, and you can get to all of the schedule, which is massive. It is just massive. And one of the things that I was impressed about, and it occurred to me when I was going through the schedule, there are seven National Endowment for the Arts Jazz Masters involved with this year's festival, including artistic director Jenkins, very own for the DC Jazz Fest. He's the artistic director, and he collaborates with you in putting together the talent and getting those invitations out. He got the A.B. Spellman Award this year, and I relied on him to help me do the articles that I've been doing this year. How wonderful is it to have that many NEA Jazz Masters?
Well, it's unprecedented for us. We've always tried to really lift up the NEA Jazz Masters because the National Endowment for the Arts does such a fantastic job of honoring our elders and all the contributions that they've made to this great music. But this year was special because our very own artistic director, Willard Jenkins, got the award, the A.B. Spellman, as you just mentioned. Willard is such an incredible partner in that he has such great artistic direction. And Willard is really about balance. He wants to showcase all that jazz brings. And so he does such an amazing job of not only talking about the various parts of jazz and what it brings, but the generations of this music. So we have some incredible emerging artists all the way to our elders from Kenny Barron, Ron Carter, Stanley Clarke, Diane Reeves. I mean, these are NEA jazz powerhouses that we're bringing to one stage during our 20th anniversary. I could not be more happy. So thank you, Willard. And yes, we're going to have a panel discussion on Sunday, September 1st at Arena Stage, where we're going to have them all on one stage so that everyone can ask questions. So imagine sharing a panel with Ron Carter, Kenny Barron, Diane Reeves, Terry Lynn Carrington, Willard Jenkins. I know I'm missing somebody because there are 7, so forgive me. But yes, we're excited that we've got so much celebrating that we're doing around our Jazz Masters.
Diane Reeves, Terry Lynn Carrington, the ladies are going to be there as Jazz Masters. And I'm sorry, I need to tell folks, you just gave me some breaking news because I didn't know about the panel discussion. So that's something that I will definitely have to attend. And then you're doing these wonderful, what I call tribute performances. You're going to be focusing on Billy Strayhorn at Mr. Henry's, the venerable Mr. Henry's. There's going to be a Sunny Stitt Centennial jam session, for lack of a better term, at Arena Stage. And then one I know that's very close to your heart, the Donald Byrd Kevin Toney celebration that's going to feature the Blackbirds.
That's right. And you just keep up. You were reminding me we have so much. We do a great job of making sure that we honor our ancestors and our living artists. So Billy Hart is very important. We didn't mention him, but a tribute to Billy Hart, who's from DC. It's in the generation of the drum, will be at Arena Stage on the 31st. But yes, we have a great tribute to Sunny Stitt Centennial that is curated by his daughter, Katia Stitt. Will feature David Yarborough and some of DC's finest artists paying tribute to Sunny Stitt. But yes, we do have the Strayhorn tribute at Mr. Henry's on Thursday, the 29th, which is going to be really amazing. So yes, we are doing our part to make sure that we are celebrating our ancestors of this music.
And original members from the Blackbirds will be a part of that Donald Byrd Kevin Toney tribute. Keith Kilgo, drummer.
Yes.
Bassist Joe Hall.
That's right.
Wow. They are keeping that legacy going.
They are. And Kevin Toney, we lost this year. Kevin was my mentor. He is the reason I am doing this music. He lived 4 doors from me when I was little, and he just made sure that he just shared so much of this great music and is the reason why I went to Duke Ellington and then to Howard. So to lose him this year, he was the founding member of the Blackbirds. Those of you who know the great keyboardist Kevin Toney, he will be paid tribute to, in addition to Donald Byrd, who's celebrating a 90th anniversary of his birth. And yes, Keith Kilgo and Joe Hall and friends will be at Westminster Church on August the 30th, starting at 6 o'clock. We're going to just pay great tribute to our fantastic Kevin Toney and Donald Byrd.
And I want to remind our audience that you need to go to the website, DC JazzFest. Is that .org or .com?
It's DCJazzFest.org.
Okay, DCJazzFest.org, because the schedule is so full that you're going to have to make some hard choices. But whatever choices you make, they will be A-OK. And the other thing that I want to get to before we close things out, but really there are 2 things. Jazz Fest is going to be all over town. That the Jogo is going to be at Franklin Square at the park. They've redone that area, so it's a wonderful entertainment space. Arena Stage, Mr. Henry's, and of course the Wharf, where everyone is familiar with seeing it, but and Westminster. But DC Jazz Fest is going to be everywhere, so you've got some choices there to make as well.
You're so right, and we definitely need to talk up the Wharf because it's all things. Our Tempor weekend is Saturday and Sunday. at the Wharf, and they are, tickets start as small as 25, and we have. Can we just tell them that we've got comp tickets because that's how much we love Washington Informer and our win audience?
Okay.
Comp tickets for Saturday, August 31st, while they last. So you want to jump on this in the next few days. And Sunday, too. So come and celebrate with us. And this is our way of thanking the Washington Informer, who has been a partner since day one. So thanks to them, we're able to offer you this complimentary code so that you can get come and bring your families to JazzFest. Also at the Anthem, Samara Joy, D Nice, Jacob Collier. We're going to be celebrating with a great gold party there on Friday the 30th at the Anthem, which is down at the Wharf. So everybody come out and let's celebrate.
And the Embassy of Australia, because that's where Lakeisha is going to be. I ran into her yesterday, believe it or not. It's amazing who just pops up when you're just walking around doing your business in DC. I'm so happy to be able to see her.
The Baylor Project. I saw you, but I wasn't able to say hello. But Lakeisha's going to turn it all the way up. We know how she does it. And that's going to be opening night at the Embassy of Australia. That's sold out. So while I love talking about it, I know that we can't offer any more tickets to that, but that's going to be quite a celebration.
And again, as we close out, I want to encourage folks to go to dcjazzfest.org, look at the whole schedule, and please come to the Washington Informer website. That's washingtoninformer.com, because that's where you can find the code to get some complimentary tickets for the standing area at the Wharf. That'll be Saturday the 31st, Sunday, September the 1st. It's going to be a wonderful, wonderful weekend. You don't want to miss it. Thank you, Sunny, for being with us. We've been talking to Sunny Sumter, President and CEO of DC JazzFest. It's going to be a jam. Take care, everybody. And thank you, Sunny.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Great conversation, Brenda. I can't wait. Boy, you're talking about it. Yeah, it's going to be a jam. I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to it. And thanks a lot for pitching in and doing that interview with Sunny.
My pleasure. You all have a good rest of the day.
All right. Thanks, you too. So now we're going to bring in author and columnist Rodney A. Brooks, who's written his latest book, The Rise and Fall of Freedman's Savings Bank and its lasting socio-economic impact on Black America. Rodney, welcome to Let's Talk.
Well, thank you for having me, Denise. I'm glad to be back.
Well, it's always you're a prolific writer, and you're always writing about things that we need to learn about, and always dealing with finance and money and legacy and institutional. What am I trying to say? Legacy wealth. How do we grow wealth, but also understanding how we got where we are. So tell me, how did you decide to write about Freedman Savings Bank, and what is it? What is the story that you're trying to get folks to know?
Well, the Freedman Savings Bank is sort of a lost part of Black history because so many people don't know about it. But it was basically a bank that was created by Congress and signed into law by Abraham Lincoln as a way for the freed slaves to have somewhere to put their money. But probably more importantly, the Black Civil War veterans who were getting wages, many of them for the first time, had nowhere to save money or to send money home to their families. So it was created in 1865, and it grew quickly. For a bunch of reasons, including corruption on the part of the white administrators. The bank failed like 9 years later, and with it went the hopes and dreams of many former slaves and Black Americans at a time when they did not have much money.
I as I told you before we got on the show, Washington Informer Charities did our annual African American Heritage Tour not too long ago to Tudor Place, and that story was shared with us, and it was really sort of devastating to think. And maybe if you can put that in some perspective, I mean, these were freed, enslaved people like you said, who put their money into this bank. I mean, what are we talking about? What kinds of savings were they putting there, and what did they hope would happen with that money as they, sought new places to live, relocating, what have you? Tell us about those stories.
Well, it's unbelievable the amount of records that they have. And I went to the National Archives and College Park. They actually have hundreds and hundreds of the original passbooks from these people, and it was savings of $2-3 for many. Sometimes it was more, maybe 100, but some of it was children. You had organizations, you had churches, but this was the first time that they had an opportunity to put money in the bank and learn. The goal was to not only provide a safe way for them to save money, but also to teach them financial literacy. So when it failed, we lost all of that. So yeah, the meager wages they had, but when I talk about the Civil War veterans, they were actually getting wages and pensions that were deposited at the bank, and for many of them, for many of the people, it was their life savings. And over the course of the 9 years, it may not have sounded like a lot, but it was a lot for them. I mean, it was money they were going to use to buy farm equipment, to buy homes, to provide educations for their children, and many of them lost it when the bank failed.
Where was this bank located? I mean, where was it
There were
actually?
yeah, the main branch was in Washington, D.C. The building is gone, but it's in its place is the Treasury Annex, which was renamed the Freedman's Bank Building, and that's on Madison Avenue Northwest. But that was the headquarters, but there are actually 37 branches throughout the South and Southwest. I mean, it was like the first national bank. And they were in cities like New York and Philadelphia, Washington, and Baltimore, but mostly in southern cities and Southwest, a lot in Texas, Tennessee, South Carolina, but many places where they had the military bases where the Black soldiers were serving.
So this bank was managed, really controlled by not Black folks, but white folks,
That's correct.
right? Who were using, who ended up, I mean, at some point, didn't they bring Frederick Douglass in to try to save the bank?
They did. It was when it was originally created, it was created by abolitionists. Okay. Eventually, over time, it got into the hands of white businessmen, and they did well. There was, because there were so many branches. Okay, the bank was underfunded; they could not communicate, and many of the people who were hired in those branches, many of the white tellers, there was some corruption, there was incompetence, and towards the end, when it got into the hands of the white businessmen, that was the corruption. I mean, they basically made loans to their own companies and made loans to their friends when the bank wasn't supposed to make loans at all. In fact, Black people couldn't get loans from this bank. Okay, and you were using the savings of these poor Black Americans to finance loans to white businesses. So there was all kinds of things like that going on. So towards the end, it was getting where it was getting around. The bank was failing. They brought in Frederick Douglass, who came in and deposited $10,000 of his own money, and when he looked at the books, he saw that there was no hope, that it was too far gone. And when the bank failed, which was in 1874, which is just 9 years after it started, the depositors lost $3 million in 1874. That's about $68 million in today's funds. So there was a huge impact. So you asked me one of the reasons why I wrote the book. One of the reasons was, we talk about what caused the racial wealth gap. And we talk about all these things like, like the Tulsa and what happened in Tulsa and where they burned down vibrant business communities. What we don't talk about is we actually had a bank which people thought was a black bank that was overseen by Congress, but basically there was no oversight, and it failed, and with it went the hopes and the dreams of countless former slaves and Civil War veterans.
We can always point to things, Rodney, that really shows where we attempted to play by the rules, and then the rug is pulled from under us, and we end up, taking one step forward and five backwards. It's just, and it's no fault of our own often. And then I wonder, the repercussions of that. I mean, because there's still a lot of folks that don't believe in putting their money in banks. Do you think that historical legacy is one of the things that contributes to that insecurity about financial institutions? And what would you tell people about, what they need to be prepared for based on the history or legacy of this story?
Well, yes. There actually have been studies that actually trace the roots, some of the roots of our distrust of the financial systems to this bank failure. And so, yes, still 150 years later, this is still looked at as one of the reasons that we distrust the white financial institutions. And I kind of liken it to the Tuskegee study and why we don't trust healthcare institutions, because it has that same impact. That this trust, passed on generations and generations, and we still have it, and it's still contributing to our lack of trust in these institutions, which is having an impact on our financial health and our financial wealth and our generational wealth. So what I would tell people is, we have to, well, for one thing, we have to start figuring out how to save and invest. We have to do a better job with that. So there are reasons for this distrust, but we have to find a way to do that, and we have to do a better job of preparing our children financially with financial literacy. And I don't want to say financial literacy is going to help get us out of is going to help solve the racial wealth gap, because that's sort of blaming us for the issue. But it does help when you teach your children and pass on generational knowledge, but it also helps to pass on generational wealth. So home purchases, that's one way to do it. And so many Black people die without a will and estate plan, and that's another. So
Well, I want to thank you very much for bringing this to us and for writing this book. It's a story that, we need to know about. And like I said, it has a lot of its roots right here in the nation's capital. And so I'm really excited. You are always on top of things when it comes to learning about, the socio-economic impact, financial impact of on our communities, public policy in our communities and other things that happen. So I appreciate you sharing that with us. Do you have anything else you're working on right now that we can prepare for?
I'm trying to figure out if I have another book, another book in me, but I'm thinking about there's all these retirement guides out there. So I'm thinking about a retirement guide for Black Americans. And you know how these retirement guides have the best cities to retire in, and they're in places where Black people would never go, right? So I'm looking at maybe doing something that would offer advice, because we have unique problems as a people, and So the advice for retirement is going to be different from it would be.
And it's timely, because every day I'm finding another friend that's already crossed over and said, okay, I'm retired. even though
Yes.
they're not retired. But the point is, we have to redefine what that term means today, because it's not
That's
what
right.
it used to mean,
Yes.
even for Black America. So anyway, looking forward to reading that one, as well as the one you just, the book you just shared with us. We have posted where people can get a copy, and to purchase the book at what is that,
It's for
Spiramus.com?
Ramus Press,
Spiramus.
but it's also available on Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com.
Wonderful. Okay. Thank you so much, Rodney.
Okay. Thank you
Always
for
glad to
having me.
have you.
Okay.
All righty. And
Appreciate
please
the
do
invite.
my best to your wife, Sheila.
Thank you so much.
All righty. Take care.
Bye.
So, as I said, we are about to now move into what I know is going to be an extended version of Let's Talk, because we got a house full of guests that are coming on. Just a couple of weeks ago, 4 DC high school students flew for nearly 18 hours to the African country of Madagascar. For most, it was their first trip to the continent, and I am so excited at this point to bring on Wanda Lockridge, the chairperson and CEO of the William O. Lockridge Community Foundation, and the sponsor of the foundation's International Ambassadors Program and the U.S. Foreign Service Initiative. Welcome to WIN TV, and also Ada Anago Brown, founder of Roots to Glory, who helped to coordinate this trip. And last but not least, coming to us from Madagascar is Vanessa Wilmot. Actually, she's a homegirl from DC. Living in DC, but she's from Madagascar, what they call a Malagasy, who also made this a wonderful experience. So before we get to the kids, let's talk to you all and talk about how we ended up. I have to say, full disclosure, I tagged along. I had to do it. So I'm gonna start with you, Wanda. Tell us a little bit about, we know a little bit about the Community Foundation, but I wanna know why you initiated this International Ambassadors Program and the Foreign Service Initiative.
Absolutely. But first, let me echo what your other guest said, and to thank you for all the work that you do in our community, and as well as offering this platform for the students to share their experience with your audience. It was an amazing trip, and we were definitely happy that you tagged along. It was great to have you. We started this, so the first time I went to Africa was in 2006, and I had seen TV programs about what Africa looked like, what a people of Africa look like. And it was really just time for us to share with our young people Africa, the richness of the country, of the continent. And so we started this program. We've been to 4 countries now. We started out with Cameroon. I am Camerican. I did my DNA, so I'm Camerican. And we ventured off to Ghana, Benin, and this year we did Madagascar. The international program that we started a few years ago actually really introduced young people to just careers pretty much, and the opportunities they have across the sea. So they can, if our young people have no idea what's out there, then they can't begin to dream of some of these activities. So they can be ambassadors, right? They can be at the State Department. They can be Peace Corps. And so there's so many other opportunities for our young people when they get outside of the U.S. So it's been a pleasure to have these 2 programs for our students to just jump into and explore.
And Ada, Roots to Glory. You didn't get into this to take kids to the continent. Tell us about, why you established Roots to Glory and how you ended up connecting with the Lockridge Community Foundation.
Okay, so Roots to Glory Tours was established in 2011. At the end of the year, probably 2011, 2012, as a way for us to continue to bridge the gap. I feel like I am a person that is from the continent, but I understand the diaspora. So it was important for me to make sure that we taught people who wanted to know what African countries look like, the culture of the people themselves. It was particularly important for me to be able to get someone that may have known, for instance, Nigerians or Cameroonians or Ghanaians, that may have lived in the same neighborhood with them, but never wanted to associate with them. But now they're doing their DNA and finding out that their DNA is from that country. So my goal then is to make sure that they know about those people. They know the history, the traditions of the people of that land, so that when they're neighbors with them and they're, they meet them at the grocery store, they meet them at work, they're better able to relate to who they are and see themselves in each other.
So, but how did you connect with the Lockridge Foundation? So, and begin to create these charities? Yeah, the four that Wanda talked about are four that you helped to coordinate, or you did coordinate.
Yes. So, so how did we connect? I think we met in 2010 on a trip to Cameroon. And then from there, we started talking about the work that she does, which is an incredibly important work. The foundation does incredibly important work. And so we started looking at it and thinking outside the box and thinking, okay, if we could dream, what could it look like? And so we said, you know what, why don't we take the kids? Why don't we take the students from Ward 8 in particular to Africa, take them out of their environment, help them understand really who they are. I think we started this with the idea that middle schoolers are kind of in that phase where they don't really, am I an adult? Am I a child? Am I, am I in elementary school? Am I in high school? They don't really, it's a really bad year for them. Let's just be frank. So we said, you know what? That's the year where they're the most vulnerable. Let's take them out and give them a sense of not just their life, but kind of globally a sense of where they fit in. So I think that was part of what we were trying to do. So that if they saw that, they can return and say, okay, all right. So my ancestors did this, and here I am in middle school. It's going to be okay. Just going to be okay.
Right. Exactly.
And one of the things, our first tour with, and then we met with King Happy, one of the things he said to a young man, he said, your ancestors are watching. You have the obligation to succeed. So, things like that resonate. And it's important for us, for me, that the young people understand that it is bigger than just them. They're taking the memory of their ancestors on their backs.
So, Vanina, you are from Madagascar, but you lived in Washington most of your adult life, right?
Right. Correct.
And so, right. And I have to say, folks, you tell folks that we are talking to you from Madagascar. So it's now what? Almost 8 o'clock in the evening?
8:30. Yeah.
Right.
8
exactly. 8 o'clock. So tell me, how did Wanda and Ada pull you into this? How did we end up going to Madagascar? What was it that you sold them on to say, this is the place we ought to go?
Yeah, I don't think I had to sell it. Ada and I go back. We've known each other since we were young teenagers, and I don't recall the discussion we had, but all I knew after that one discussion, things were put in motion. And so, and personally, any opportunity I get to showcase my heritage gets me so excited, because we're kind of like the forgotten island. So, I was delighted to have that conversation with Ada, and just really appreciative of Wanda and the William Lockridge Community Foundation, raising funds to make these opportunities like this happen. As you know, Madagascar is 1 million miles away. So it was a small feat, and it wasn't the lack of things to see or do, but or the travelers. It was just managing and organizing from afar in a country that is known to move slowly, and it's a positive term, muha muha. But I discovered Madagascar through the eyes of others. And for once, I wasn't the vaza, which means the foreigner, which was, really made me proud. And I was a bit worried because I didn't have any expectations. But, as you guys know, the city has a dense population. The people living in poverty, I think, is beyond what most of us have seen, including families and children begging on the streets. So, I was a bit worried, but then, as the days went by early on, you guys lifted that worry, and I think it, went really smoothly. In fact, I think it went very well.
So I would agree. And I think when you're putting a trip together like this, Ada and Wanda and Vanessa, and you've got young people, like you said, middle schoolers, or in this case, high schoolers, you have to put a trip that sort of resonates with them. It's not like taking a bunch of adults, even though there are adults on this trip. So how do you plan these trips and we're going to talk to the young folks in a few minutes, but how do you plan these trips to make sure that, I don't know what the end is, what you hope, what your expectation is for them to take away from it, but you have to plan that. And how does that happen?
So Ada's the one that gave me the lead on this. She said we want to spend as much time with the kids and interact with, the kids and see their everyday lives. And so that really assisted in me putting, an itinerary together. So, Ada was the lead on that. So it wasn't too difficult after that because, we had a specific focus. And of course, the usual, the historical sites, a little bit about the history, and of course the food.
And we cannot forget our little buddies, the lemurs.
Yes, absolutely not. Right. You can't leave Madagascar without seeing the lemurs.
Right.
Exactly.
So I just wanted to say one thing about how to plan for students as opposed to planning for adults, is that you have to kind of be the student, right? Mm-hmm. You have to kind of decide, okay, if I'm a student in high school, what would I want to be doing? What's important to make me see how things are really on the ground that will maybe change the way I see things where I am.
I will also even add, we spent 6 sessions with these young people. And so we had an idea to learn a little bit about them, what their interest was. And
prior to the trip.
Prior to the trip, yes. Okay. And so they went through a number of sessions, and we had an opportunity to hear from them what they wanted to see, what they wanted to learn, what they wanted to gather. And so in talking to Ada, I mean, it was just brilliant that everything worked together because of Vanessa being the home girl she is and knowing about Madagascar. It was just really a great opportunity. It just was a perfect fit.
Yeah. And, Wanda, you talk about careers and professions. And I know one of your visits was to the embassy, the U.S. Embassy. And why was that important?
It was important so they could hear firsthand of the opportunities and the different type of job opportunities that you have when you go into international careers or international affairs. So they talk to people, actually some from the United States that's working in Peace Corps, where they can have an opportunity to go and serve, get paid, go back to school, get their master's degree, and all at no cost. So if they, again, are not exposed to that type of information, they never know. And so I think we have some of the students that may be thinking across those lines. We'll see when they come up and see what they say.
And before I bring them on, how were these students selected?
They were selected actually coming through the International Ambassador Program. And so through the 6 week, they had an opportunity to do a number of media. They met with the special assistant to President Biden at the time. They went on a trip to see Egypt on the Potomac. So again, it was beginning to expose them to what Africa could be like. And so it was easier for us to see who were interested, who showed up every day, ready to participate. And so we did an interview process with all of the students who participated in the 6 week program. And then we lucked up with these amazing ambassadors that you're going to meet shortly.
So I don't know if we can get them all on. I'm not sure how Sherry wants to set this up, but we're going to bring them on. And I would like for them to introduce themselves one at a time. Tyler's there. So we'll start with Tyler and Amber and Jalen and Logan. Tell us, your name, your age, what school you go to, and what grade you're in. Tyler, we'll start with you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tyler. I'm in 10th grade, and it's in MacArthur High School.
Okay. Amber?
Hi, everyone. My name is Amber. I'm in 10th grade and I go to McKinley Tech High School.
All right. And Jalen?
Hello, everyone. My name is Jalen Parker. I'm 18 and I graduated from McKinley Tech.
Woo, woo, the senior in the group. And Logan?
Hi, my name is Logan, and I'm currently a sophomore at McKinley Tech.
All right, wonderful. So let me start off. I mean, when you all, first of all, why were you interested? Anybody can jump in. Why were you interested in this ambassador, international ambassadors program? Why did you decide to sign up for this? All right, don't jump at one time. Okay, is that you, Amber?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm interested because I wanted to learn more about like international travel and foreign affairs and what it was like to actually travel while working and meeting new people in different countries.
Anybody else?
I was interested because I was also interested. I wanted to get into foreign affairs. I always wanted to do international travel. I'm definitely interested in study abroad, and I've always wanted to visit Africa.
Okay, have you done any international travel before, Logan?
I've only been in U.S. territory, but never actually like in a different continent.
Okay, and how about you, Jalen?
Same thing. I've never been outside the U.S.
So why were you interested in this program?
I love looking at other people's cultures and being immersed into other people's culture, and that's one of the big things I like when meeting people. So I like my trip going to Madagascar.
Okay, we're gonna get back to that in a minute because there were some special things that happened with you. Tyler, how about you? Why did you join? Why did you participate?
Well, I really just wanted to just try something new, and just get the best experiences I can out of life.
Have you had a chance to travel out of the country?
Yes, I have before.
Oh, where have you been?
I've been to Aruba, Mexico. It's a couple others, but those are my two favorite.
All right, sound like great vacation spots. Wonderful. So, it was funny, Vanessa and Ada and Wanda, how, a lot of folks thought Jalen was actually Malagasy. He sort of got that that approach, from folks. What did that feel like, Jalen, when people thought that you wanted to go visit a place with a different culture, but then they thought you were one of them?
I mean, it was kind of awkward for me, mainly because, a lot of people were trying to speak French to me and I couldn't really understand it. But, I just enjoy when I'm just meeting different people and they were trying to have a conversation with me, even though I didn't know them. Wow,
interesting. So let's go back around again because I want to find out what was the most, I guess, I don't know, the most memorable moment that you had in Madagascar. Logan, I'm gonna start with you because I think you shared that before, but what was the most memorable moment that you had?
One of my most memorable moments, like going to Madagascar, is definitely meeting the people. They are probably some of the nicest people I've ever met in my entire life. I like how grateful they sound. I mean, how grateful they are and how like they're definitely having like family values. Also, the food was very good. And visiting the school with the children was definitely memorable.
Wow. Okay, Amber.
My most memorable moment was definitely the school and like meeting the kids who were there and like listening to their story, like kind of connecting with them and talking to them about my life in DC and then hearing about their life in Madagascar. It was a good moment to like connect with them and share our similarities and differences. And it was asking like about how school is in DC, how high school is in DC, and different things like that, how I interact with my friends. That was probably my favorite part of the trip, actually. Definitely the food too. The food was really good.
excuse me, how would you describe, or how have you described to your friends, Amber, about the school that you visited? I mean, it's not like McKinley. So, how would you describe it? And what was that experience like for you once you saw the school?
I feel like the trip in general is so hard to describe it, because if you weren't there, it's like you just don't understand how memorable it was. But describing the school to my friends, I told them it was very different. And I also explained to them how transportation for them is different, and how like most of them have to walk almost 2 hours to school, and how we have easy transportation like the train. We might take it for granted. So I just explained stuff like that to them. And yeah.
Well, I think we all remember the trip to the well, where we thought we were going to go find the water for the school.
Yes.
Tyler, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, actually, when you guys had went to take a walk up to the well, I actually went with another one of the. I went with Stefan. I don't know what I would consider him as, but he had took me to like the very, very top of the mountain, so we could see like the whole view.
Oh, that's right.
So I wasn't actually with
Yeah.
you.
No, you all did disappear to the top of the mountain. That was, and we must have walked. How many miles were then? About 2 miles just to go to find where they get this water. But that's right. You all kept going up to the top of the mountain, which was quite an experience.
Yeah, it was
is there another
3.5 miles?
3.5. Thanks for reminding me.
I don't remember how many miles, but I know it was steep and narrow.
And narrow.
Just
With
to get
ledges.
water. Right. So what was one of your most memorable moments, Tyler?
I would probably have to say the school was most definitely memorable for me. Just getting to see like how others my age experience life in different countries. It's always interesting to see, and I will always see like videos on the internet, but it's even better to experience it in person. And I really wish that other kids would have the opportunity to see what I got to see within that week. I feel like it was a really, really touching experience.
Wow, fantastic. What about you, Jalen? You had a lot of moments.
I would definitely say the food, amazing. Everything was super fresh, and everything was delicious when it was plated on the plate or a bowl, or it was just amazing. And definitely the scenery, because we live here basically downtown DC. Well, I almost live in downtown DC, and it's all buildings, but it's nice to see a diverse landscape, like the trees and the buildings and the areas, the developing areas. It was amazing. It was a nice experience.
Yeah. Thank you. I want to ask, and either Wanda or Ada or Vanessa, is there anything you might want to share? We're showing some photographs from different scenes that took place during this trip. But is there anything you might want to ask the students that you didn't get a chance to ask since we got them all together?
I just have a comment
Wanda?
to share that.
Sure.
I just have a comment to share that, the four of you were just outstanding. You guys were open to receive, and that breaks down walls right away. And I could see through your interactions, your conversations, that you were determined to share your stories, learn the people, the students' stories, and which really fosters a deeper understanding and connection between the two worlds. And this is something that you guys will carry with you forever. And it widens the world, conversations as well. So I'm thankful, beyond thankful, for the four of you.
That's wonderful. I think we all are very proud of them. Go ahead, Wanda.
Absolutely. I tell them all the time, and I'll shout it to the rooftop how amazing these young people are. And I know that we are in good hands as we move into the future with them. I will ask them, so this was a long trip, as you indicated. It was like 18 hours. And when you came home, two things. One, because I was still jet lagged for probably 3 or 4 days, if not longer. Talk to me about your jet lag and tell me the first thing that you either did or that you ate when you got home. Jump in, anyone. Who's first?
Oh,
Logan.
okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Jake.
When I first got here, I mean, I didn't really feel jet lagged. I felt pretty fine the whole trip there and coming back. But as soon as I got here, you know, I basically had to get ready for a community service event that I was doing. So, you know, I didn't really get a chance to rest as soon as I got off, but I was fine.
Okay.
When I came back, the first thing I ate was Chipotle, and then
I think I remember you all talking about that when we were there.
The first thing I ate was Chipotle, and then I had a volunteer at my school for like the rest of the week, so I was really tired. Like later in the afternoon, like I would be at the school volunteering, I'd be trying to fall asleep. I was so tired for like that week, and then I kind of caught up on rest throughout the weekend. But it took about the weekend I was pretty much okay, and adjusting to like the food here because it tastes completely different. It made me like a little, I don't know, uneasy. I don't know. It was different, but other than that, I was okay.
I want to ask, I'm going to jump in really quick because, you know, we're talking about the ambassadors program, the international ambassadors program. And now that you all have had this experience, and this is your elevator pitch, as somebody talked about before, or your, you know, your opportunity to promote this program. Why do you think young people should consider being a part of this program and traveling to Africa?
Great question.
Tyler.
I would, like I said before, I feel like other kids my age should be able to, or probably should have this experience. I would say, like, a lot of people my age take a lot of the things we have for granted, especially over here in the U.S. I always say, when I came back, I told my grandma that, like, we're spoiled over here. I feel like everybody should come over there, be able to go over there and see, you know, like the things that they have to go through, and, you know, have a greater appreciation for, you know, what we have over here when they come back.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Jalen, you spent a lot of time in you know, doing service through I forgot the name of the program already, but tell us what it is.
It's called the Young Marines.
Young Marines, that's right. And you spent a lifetime with the Young Marines, but you know, and you want to do some international, I think, travel as well. But why do you think this program is so important?
I'd say it's just important to get to try new things. Like when I went to Madagascar, everything was pretty much new to me. You know, the things I've done in Madagascar, I never once even thought about doing down here in DC. So I'm grateful for, you know, just getting the opportunity to try new things.
Including dancing at a concert. Logan said, "Come on." What was Jaden's line? I might as well.
Just might as well.
Logan, what about you? I mean, you talked about you want to do some international travel. You want to work globally. Yes. Why do you think this program is important?
This program is important because it is exposing youth in DC to different foreign exchange programs, or just them taking us to the U.S. Embassy in Madagascar is definitely eye-opening. I was able to talk with people who work in Peace Corps, or people who are in the military and security branches that work at the embassy. That was really cool. But I'm mainly just interested in studying abroad in Europe, or traveling in Germany.
All right. Okay. We're going to keep following you. And Amber?
I think this program is important because it shows kids like life beyond their city or their, you know, neighborhood, because there's so much more than just DC. And I feel like if you just get caught up in what's here, you'll never be able to explore or understand what's around you and be able to gain opportunities and network with people beyond your city. So I think everybody should experience traveling to Africa, especially because you get to see, because Africa, they put a picture, but it's so much more than what people make it seem. So this is a great program. It's really important.
Wonderful. Wanda, I want to come back to you really quickly because this was the 4th trip. And do you have sort of any stories to tell about any of the students that traveled with you before who actually did, are actually, you know, fulfilled the idea of doing work internationally?
Absolutely. So there are a few students I'll highlight. One that's actually serving as our chair on the board for young adults. And I was happy that 2 of the 4 here have decided that they want to join that committee. But one of the artists who went to Cameroon, actually, what she's doing right now is an art, and most of all her art is influenced by the African culture that she did when she was in Cameroon. She's also taught one of our classes. So we stay in contact, as I said to these 4, we are stuck like glue now, we're family. And so whatever they need, we will be able to assist them or at least guide them into the deck. Hi, DB. I'm sorry. So that was good to see him hopping on and see the students as well. And I almost lost my train of thought, but when I saw DB there. But let's see. Again, so a number of the students are participating. They stay with us. We want to make sure that they stay and we support them in whatever they do in the future, whether it's international travel or they're doing some domestic, but we will have our hands on them all the time.
Wonderful. And I want to go to you, Ada, right now, because I want to talk a little bit about more before we go about Roots to Glory. Tours. I know that you do tours throughout the year. Can you tell us what you have that's coming up? And you know, what does it take for people to be on board and to participate? And I'm going to say, because I tag along with you. You know, you even exposed us to the Gullah Geechee area in South Carolina and Georgia. So I mean, but most of your tours are to the continent. But talk about that and what's coming up.
Yeah, so this Madagascar was kind of like my first East African tour, which, you know, I hope to go back soon, Vanilla.
Yes.
So
yes.
I'm preparing. I've gotten a lot of people wanting to go back to Madagascar. So I'm you know, trying to see what we can do and our availability for next year. We are planning to take a group of chefs to Senegal and the Gambia in December. We're taking a small group of people to Benin, you know, within the next 6 months. And then we're going back to Cameroon next year in March. And from Cameroon, we're going to taking another small group to Congo, DRC, and Kinshasa, and Brazzaville. And then we are going to Côte d'Ivoire. I know I don't even know if there are enough months to do what I'm trying to do. So, you know, sometimes I say it and I think, oh my God, who's going to do all of that? But yeah, so, you know, if you're interested in hopping on one of our tours, you go to our website. It's rootstoglory.com. And we're really just trying to expose as many people as we can to the continent. And you know, now we have these students, and then we have a group of chefs that always travel with us. And so we're just, you know, chipping away at it. And I think that, you know, before it was fashionable to travel to Africa. You know, recently it's now fashionable to go. But before that, it was like, you know, for me, it's you know, it's where we started, but where we want to go is kind of where everybody is now, like wanting to go to Africa, like on their own, not having a tour company. I think that's really, really important for the growth of the diaspora to consider themselves now wanting to go to Africa as opposed to Europe and other continents. So
Can I jump
It's
in
great.
real quick? So, Miss Ada, I heard all these trips over the next 12 months. Now, you know we have a trip coming up next year,
I
so
know.
focus yourself too then.
I know. That's why I said I don't know how it's gonna get done, but I'm for it.
So I'm going to wrap up, and I want to wrap up with Vanessa, you know, who again is home, who has roots in Madagascar, but I mean, home is DC, but home,
Right.
home. And, you know, it's really, you know, for any of us, when we have events, we invite people into our homes, and we really want them to make sure that when they leave, you know, it's a memorable experience. And you said some great things about the students, but after having this experience, I know, you know, you probably thought one way before we left, and you talked a little bit about, you know, what you hoped would happen. And so I just want you to end us with, you know, what this meant to you to have all of us there, and you know, to visit your home.
Yeah. I can't stop talking about it. You know, the opportunity for me was, I think, just as important, I think, for the students as well. And I'm just, you know, very fortunate that all of you, especially students, you know, despite the differences, we all were able to come together and find common ground. And, you know, that really aided in creating, you know, a friendship. And I think, as I mentioned earlier, that, you know, is that spanning oceans and continents. And I truly do believe that, you know, a good amount of you will be coming back because there's a lot more to see and a lot more to do. And I also, one thing I wanted to point out earlier was I feel that Madagascar is special in the sense that, you know, when we talk about small businesses, I mean, the country is a makeup of small businesses. And, you know, I had the opportunity to talk with the students individually. I'm like, you know, look, you can be a food critic. You know, look, you can, you know, sell, you know, odds and ends. You can be a hotel critic. You can be a travel vlogger, blogger. I don't know which one's appropriate these days. So, you know, it was really something important for me because you know you know, now that I think we were 14 total, that 14 people that really know Madagascar. And so everyone will be able to share their stories, and it will just really increase the knowledge of, you know, like I said, the forgotten island.
So we talked a little bit. I'm gonna tell you, I did watch the movie. We talked about the movie and how the movie Madagascar, the cartoon movie, misrepresents Madagascar. But I watched it this weekend because I wanted to make sure, and I found out that it really doesn't, because you had these 4 animals that were locked up in the New York Zoo, and they wanted freedom. They wanted freedom. They wanted to be in the wild. They got on a ship. The crates that they were in ended up on this island that they thought was the most beautiful island in the world. And of course, the first group of folks that they met, or critters they met, were the lemurs. And so they had a wonderful time in Madagascar, but then it was time to go back home. So for I don't know who what were they? I don't know, but what the critters were, you know, it's for
There's
them,
the
for
fossa,
y'all.
there's the
Yeah,
fossa, and then the lemurs. So those are the 2 animals in
right.
the movie that actually exist here.
Exactly. So anyway, I enjoyed it. It was fun. I enjoyed the trip. I'm glad that you all were able to join us today to talk about your experiences. Can't wait to hear what happens to you all going forward. And I want to thank everybody for joining us and for, you know, telling us about your experiences. There's going to be more. I know they're going to be on a Madagascar television station story that's coming up there, and Washington Informer is doing a piece. So this story lives on. Congratulations to everybody, and have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you.
All righty.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thanks. Sure, Wanda. I want to say thank you again for watching Let's Talk. I want you all to have a wonderful weekend as well. A special thanks to all of our guests, particularly the 2 segment sponsors, the Ronald McDonald House of Greater Washington, and DC JazzFest. Thank you to all of our guests. I'm going to run through them really quick. Craig Rice, Sunny Sumter, Rodney Brooks, Wanda Lockridge, Ada Brown, Vanessa Wilmot, and the student ambassadors, Amber Jackson, Logan Arthur, Tyler Branch, and Jalen Parker. Boy, we had a jam-packed show. Of course, I want to thank Chevy Lassiter for pulling this together, and Jamon Jackson, who is working with in our production. It's been a great show. I've totally enjoyed it. Totally. So please check back on your social media platforms every day next week. We want you to know that we will be Chevy, Misha, our editor, Stacy Brown, myself, I think that's it. We'll be in Chicago at the Democratic National Convention during this historic occasion when the first African-American woman will be certified as a candidate to lead this country in the 2024 presidential election. So make sure you check in on social media. We'll be sending stories in throughout the week, beginning on Monday. And until then, I want you to have a great weekend. It's going to rain a little, but that's good for the plants. This is Denise Rollard Barnes signing off.